Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider PRI. I'm Rick Gailey, the coach of PRI, along with our insider, Mr. Renee Nadeau. And we are very happy and excited today to have here at NOLA Motorsports Park Coach Steve Robicheaux of the Destrehan Fighting Wildcats. Coach Robicheaux, thank you so much for spending time with us. I know your time is limited during the week, but we really appreciate you being here today.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for having us.
Steve, big game last week against Hahnville. And how do you prevent this team from the highs and the lows? You have Terrebonne again this week, you know, from coming off that win, that big rivalry, and come down to earth again, and you know you have another opponent.
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, we're looking at the schedule. We saw the John Eric game and then the Hahnville game, and knowing that was two big games for us that was going to be pivotal. The thing that you have to do though is kind of put that, you know, we've got a big sign in the locker room right now. Be humbled in your successes, and you know, get back to the task at hand. And I think that's imperative this week. And you know, going back and telling you, hey, go ahead, look at your mistakes. You know, obviously we made mistakes, and try to right those mistakes and just go on. But it's you know, you kids understand it's a long season. We're only in week 5, and they know that, you know, none of that matters if you don't continue doing the things you need to do to be successful, and that's what you focus on.
It's a long season, but it goes by quick. You know, each week just seems to fly by. And rivalries are such an important part of the game, and both of us have been fortunate to be in some great wins, but there's very few that resemble the Hahnville-Destrehan rivalry. And while you don't treat it any differently in your preparation, because you show each opponent the maximum amount of respect, describe the special rivalry that Destrehan and Hahnville has, and how does it affect you internally? Because I know if I got to the national anthem, I was okay.
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, it's kind of humbling because, you know, it's two great programs, and it's nothing that I've done or Coach Saul's done. It's just been there forever, and it's a great week for everybody except for us two. We say that, you know, Coach Valden used to say all the time, the happiest guys in the world were us two after the game was over, no matter who won. But it's truly a great rivalry. Two great programs we're very fortunate to be associated with. You know, Hahnville with their storied success, and we've been fortunate to have a little success over at Destrehan. So I think that's the main deal, you know, that we're there, the two programs, the school district, everyone involved, the community gets so excited about it. But you know, it's a lot of fun. It brings out a lot of people. It really is special, and it's really I can't say it's a joy to be involved that week, but after it's over, it's a lot of fun. But it's good for the kids. The kids enjoy it, the community enjoys it, but it's a special night for St. Charles Parish.
23 years in coaching, Steve, 14 years as a head coach. What's a couple of things that you have to address as become your responsibility now as a head coach that when you first started, you know, wasn't there? Social media, a lot of things now are really coming to your umbrella.
That's right. You know, social media is probably the biggest. You know, when Rick was watching 8mm and all that other kind of stuff, we never had to worry about that kind of stuff. But you know, it is, and it's something you have to worry about. You have to talk to your kids constantly about. Recruiting has changed because of it. You know, they don't go through the head coach as much as they used to. They contact the kids directly. I think that's probably the biggest thing that you have to deal with. Just going through the locker room and having cell phones all over the place, it's kind of hard to get used to because, you know, a few years back you didn't have that. But I would think that social media is probably the biggest thing you have to deal with now than in the past.
And defensive-minded coach, and that's how you came up, and the game is changing almost as we speak. That giving up 20 points a game isn't that big a deal anymore. In fact, there's a lot of times, you know, that's what you're shooting for. As a defensive-minded coach, how have you had to adjust to the fact that shootouts are a common occurrence now? You've had to change defensively what you're doing, or modify it more than anything. But talk about the psychology that you have to deal with yourself in now shootouts being so common.
Well, Rick, you know, and going to battle against you guys, against the wing T and all with our 50 defense back in the day, you know, everything was technique and everything, and that's how you practice. And you practice that tough, hard-nosed defense, but now with everybody spreading you out, you don't quite get that anymore, and it's hard. It's hard to be able to go out there and give up points, knowing that you know, our offense now, we're going to try to hurt in school. Back in the day, you know, hey, take your time and let's play good defense, and that's the way we were fortunate enough to have success early. But it's changed. But I tell you what, Coach Leday has done a tremendous job. You know, our outside linebacker used to be an outside linebacker. Now he's a DB, so it's kind of hard to get. But he's done a good job to kind of you know, keep me involved and kind of, you know, go with what we do and kind of make that old 50 defense, kind of make it compatible with what you need to do nowadays. But it's kind of tough, but you know, it's changing times, and you got to stay with it. And our coaches do a great job, and I think Coach Greg Bourne on offense and Coach Lance Leday on defense do an unbelievable job. And but you know, it has changed, and your thinking has to change. And at Destrehan, it has changed. So that's why we're at where we're at right now.
Something you touched on, Steve, a second ago is that recruiting has changed a little bit. And you're going to have 4 guys coming on here in just a little bit who are going through the recruiting process. A couple of them have already made their decisions. How involved are you as a coach to kind of advise or kind of oversee and make sure that things stay above board? Well,
what we do at Destrehan is I have to talk to the kids, and Coach Bourne and Coach Leday also. We talk to the kids all the time. We're not going to make this decision for you. This is obviously your decision. Now, we'll help in any process, during the process, any way that you need help, information, you know, about where you want to go, that type of stuff. That's where we'll get involved. But as far as the actual decision, it's totally up to the kids and their parents. And we're there for more of a resource. And you know, the way social media is now, they kind of take the head coach out in most cases, and they go straight to the kids and the parents. So you know, those college coaches now want to know who's the next person that's going to help make that decision. It's not necessarily the head coach all the time. So it's changed a lot. It's hard to get used to, but you know, we're there to help the kids to make that decision, and that's our role now.
Seems that a lot of the school role now is to try to weed out people who are trying to contact them. You know, the communication between the schools and the players are good. That's well regulated. You keep track of. But there's more people on the outside trying to get involved in the recruiting process, the street agents, so to speak, that I rail on, and sometimes academies trying to take your kids from you your senior year. Talk about the Destrehan support group that you have overall within the school and what you have to do to make sure that the players are in contact with reputable people.
Our kids do a good job with staying within the framework of what we try to do. You know, we have a system in place where, you know, we work through the clearinghouse, work through everybody, and our kids trust our coaches, and I think that's the key. And you know, they do get a lot of outside information, and that's going to happen because everybody has an opinion. But when it comes down to it, I think our kids trust us to know that we're going to feed them right and tell them what they need to know about certain colleges and so forth. And I think it works for us, and our kids are comfortable with it.
Trust is so important, and that's one of the great things that you learn about football. You can't play the game without trust. You got to trust your buddies, you got to trust your coaches, and at Destrehan High School, they do it as good as anybody. They have earned the trust and respect of the players. Thank you for being with us today, Steve, and bringing your players. We always appreciate you. Big game with Terrebonne this week after a huge win last week. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys having me.
Great. We are going to be right back with some Destrehan players and talk about their future here on Prep Recruiting Insider. We're in the Speed Shop at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale. We're going to be right back after a quick timeout.